We were a bit like runaway trains, like we would just go, what about? And then what about to have a three-way? Why make it a three-way? Make it a five-way! Like we just were, everything was up for grabs.
Actually, we did want to have a five-way.
You know what I mean? We'd just go, I'd be so excited.
Hi, and welcome to this special season of McLaren Versus, celebrating 25 years of the iconic TV series, The Secret Life of Us, a show that is somewhat close to my own heart. Over the next few episodes, we're going to be talking to some of the cast and the creators of this show to give you that access all areas chat you have come to expect. So sit back as we take you on a ride through the noughties and one of Australia's most loved TV series from the inside out. This is McLaren Versus The Secret Life of Us. 25 years ago, The Secret Life of Us... Stop. Sorry.
You cannot say 25
That seemed a long time ago.
I can say, okay, a number of years ago, The Secret Life of Us didn't just give us characters. It gave us friendships and heartbreaks, bad decisions, big dreams, and that messy, magnetic feeling of being in your 20s when everything somehow matters and nothing feels really settled. And sitting with me today are two of the people who have made that world happen. Amanda Higgs, one of the producers who not only helped bring Secret Life to life, but who has gone on to champion bold Australian stories, supporting new voices, emerging creators, and projects that reflect the complexity of this country's emotional landscape. And Judi McCrossin, the writer whose voice, intelligence, and emotional truth helped define a generation of Australian drama, and who has continued to shape stories and contribute to the creative culture long after the cameras have stopped rolling in St Kilda. Between them, they've influenced not just what we saw on screen, but how Australian stories are told, who gets to tell them, and how fearless we're allowed to be doing it. So today isn't just about nostalgia, it's about how this show came to be, how it changed all of us, and why its heartbeat is still going 25 years later. Amanda Higgs, Judi McCrossin, welcome to McLaren Versus.
Oh, hello.
Hello and welcome to the conversation. I'm so excited to have you guys here. It's so wonderful to reconnect. I know we've touched base piecemeal over the years, I guess. Now, the core team of Secret Life of Us, not just yourselves, obviously John Edwards produced as well, other writers like Chris as well, who was there. Can you take me back to the beginning for this? Not so much like the pitching, but, I guess like that kind of emotional core where you were both, where were you in your lives when this show started? And I don't mean filming, I mean the kernel of it for you.
You say, because you're older than
me.
I
literally had just been fired. I've just been fired off Water Rats.
Did you?
Yes.
Excellent.
You know this story.
No, I did know it.
Yeah. So, I got fired for standing up to the producers, and there were two male producers at the time. They spoke to us very badly. I said, you can't speak to us like that. They swore at us, that's right. Anyway, next thing you know, out the door, fired. And so I was at that point where I was working as a script editor. I was getting a lot of work. I was being well paid, but I wasn't producing anything. And I tried to option a book that later we had the writer Jessica Adams come on. Do you remember? Anyway, it was called Single White Email. It was a really great, funny rom-com book, and I think I knew Judi from around Sydney, and I thought she would be a really good person to write it. Anyway, we didn't get the rights to the book, but I was watching This Life at the time and shows like Sex and the City, so I was really obsessed
by... This Life, the UK series about the 20-something lawyers all living in London.
Most Gen X people I know were also obsessed with. And I thought, why can't we make this show in this country where it's really about good writing, good characters, and people that feel like us. So, that's kind of where it started. And I knew I'd wanted to work with Judi, and I can't remember the first room we had, but it was probably in my living room, wasn't it? In Coogee or somewhere.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not quite how I remember it, the story.
And now for the other side.
No, which will be this whole conversation, can I say?
Well, I remember that there was someone, we had a common friend who's now, interestingly, I think, the New South Wales State Coroner. And
Right.
she said,
Oh, that's right.
you and Amanda should meet because I've been working with her a little bit, giving advice, legal advice on a show you were scripted.
ABC, yeah.
You should meet. And I said, yeah, I would like to meet her. And then we met. So I guess I'm just
Adding a bit more
Adding
to
a
the
bit
story.
more.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teresa was
the
Yeah,
conduit.
she was the conduit. Yeah, because I was working with Teresa. I was a script editor. And I think she said the same to me. You should meet Judi.
Yeah. So that's how we met.
So you guys met and came together.
Yeah.
And the kernel starts with that idea of watching those kind of shows and
Yeah.
going, why can't we make something like this?
Yeah. There's a gap in the market
Yeah.
for that age group who want to watch television, I felt, and we're watching American shows and British shows, but not watching our own shows.
Everything here at that point was cop shows,
Yes.
and
Procedural.
a number of cop shows.
Yeah.
Water
Yeah.
Rat Speed.
Yeah.
But also there was a dominant sort of culture in writing that much older people wrote about younger people's experiences all the time, and it sounded very false to me and to you. And so it was very natural to have men in their 50s telling us, not on that show, but in other situations, how women felt, how young women felt, all that sort of stuff.
Which now seems absurd.
It does, but it was very common.
Yeah.
And that's why the shows, I believe that's why young people weren't watching Australian shows, because they were false. They appeared false. No one talks like that. No one does that. That's what we used to always
we always
say.
say that.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. We'd say,
All the time.
what would you really do?
Yeah.
That was a question we
Yeah.
used to ask all the time. What would you really do in that situation?
And
Not-
what did you really say?
And what did
Or
you-
how did you really feel? Yeah, that was a big...
Not through the lens of what should be on a TV show.
No,
Yes.
and not
or
what's
anything like
happening
that.
on another show. Like admiring what other shows were doing and achieving, and knowing we wanted to do that too. We wanted to be in that game.
Yeah.
We wanted to be in what is the American thing? We wanted to go to the ballpark, and have...
I don't know that thing, but
yeah,
yes. But no, you're seeing it all and you're seeing
In
it happen
baseball,
everywhere else.
yeah.
You go, there's no reason this
Yeah.
can't work.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said, because you've seen it appeal
Yeah.
to generations
Yeah.
there and to generations here,
Yeah.
but not with Australian stories. Yeah, fantastic. So, fast forward a little bit, how different was the original vision you had to what we ended up with?
Not
Nothing.
very
Not
different.
very.
Not
it was
very.
really,
Not very
really was
different.
very. If you read the original script, it really set the tone of the show from the outset. It didn't deviate very much at all.
I know my first exposure to the scripts was, if you remember, Mulliner's casting in Sydney
Yeah.
with the NIDA grads that do
Yeah.
these kind of
Yeah.
workshops for
Yes.
the kids coming out of drama school, which I was one
Yeah.
of them then.
Yeah.
And you got some Home and Away, you got some of this, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there was The Secret Life of
Yeah,
Us,
yeah.
and everybody just went,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And was like, what's happening with this? And, we don't really know,
But it wasn't that amazing. It was just truthful.
But that was amazing.
Yeah. But that
was,
it wasn't.
we hadn't seen it, we weren't
Yes.
being given it.
Yes.
And so from an acting perspective, but also generationally, like you say, we're responding to exactly what you're talking about there, which
Yeah.
is the authenticity and saying, gosh, we'd love to be a part of this. So, and that was, across
And
the
you
board.
were.
And I was, yes, yeah. How good that was. Judi, for you, where did the characters come from, would you say? Was it a group thing? 'Cause
Well, that came from our lives, didn't they? They came from our lives.
Some of them were even named after people we knew until we had to change names suddenly.
And Amanda, she'd say to me, just reassure me that this character that you've gone on about a lot isn't actually called that name. And I'd go, I just feel sick. I hadn't even changed the name.
Yeah, there was one character
Observed
we
from
did
life,
not
I think
change
is the
the
phrase.
character's name until I think the day before
Yeah.
we were shooting.
do you remember which character that
Yes,
Yes.
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
was? Right, okay.
She's
I won't ask
originally-
what the real
no,
name
her name
was.
was Liz.
Liz.
That was her
Yeah,
real
yeah.
name.
Sorry, Liz. Sorry. Or maybe you've been immortalised now.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know if she knows she has, but yeah, but they just things are a bit different now the way TV is made, and Amanda would speak about this a lot more. But there seems to be this obsession with doing rooms all the time. We do these endless rooms. But
And they're writers' rooms you're talking about, if you use that phrase, just for the
we
listener.
did rooms too, but they were very small. It was usually... Is this correct me if I'm wrong? Because you and me and Chris Lee, the other writer,
three of us.
John kind of came in and out of it.
John Edwards.
But but Amanda was a producer, but she was a producer. She was a creative producer, but that's a proper producer, right? So we were just intensely in the room trying to break the story. It wasn't really a free for all the way that I've seen rooms now. It wasn't like just chuck anything.
No idea is a bad idea. They all get thrown out there and everyone's mixed them all up and come to some consensus.
It wasn't that. It was more... Did you think that? A bit more
Totally.
planned?
It was more intentional. And I think maybe because we didn't know any differently. Like I didn't... Even though Judi and I think that the other thing we bonded over was that we'd both done these internships in America. And I didn't really know about the writer's room idea until I'd done that internship. And Judi did one the year after me.
To the same place.
Right, yes.
But I think we just thought the show, we have enough brains to make this show, given it was a risk. It was a big risk, making a character-based show for such a specific audience, which was literally 16 to 39, was our target demo. But I think we all got on and we were all on the same page. And so I felt like that first 4 weeks or so, I think it was just 4 weeks at Southern Star, was just really, John was there, but it was Chris and Judi and I just sitting at a desk. There was no note taker. I took notes, which is what I brought in my bag.
Did John bring Chris into the equation? How did Chris
he
come
did.
into...
He did.
Yep.
Because... Go on, sorry.
No.
Well, he was much more experienced as a writer. I wasn't experienced, and he was good at structure. And I...
That's the way you say that.
What?
Structure.
No, but...
You still hate it, do you?
No, I love it.
She hates it.
I love it. It's important to understand it, and I didn't. And so it was good because I guess, and I'm criticising myself, but I guess also we were a bit like runaway trains, like we would just go, what about? And then what about they have a three-way? Why make it a three-way? Make it a five-way. Like we just were, everything was up and down.
Actually, we did want to have a five-way.
You know what I mean? We would just go, I'd be so excited. We had no...
Filter?
No, we had no cynicism either.
Yeah.
Like...
Which is infectious.
Yeah, we weren't like, oh, God, another day. We knew we were in a gifted situation.
Yeah. And we didn't know what we didn't know, which is, I say, the best place to start.
We were overconfident.
Yeah.
And also, we just had a lot of life to draw on, I think, between the three of us. I'd worked with Chris for a while on Police Rescue, so I knew Chris, I knew his sensibility, and... Really, it was just an endless conversation for 4 weeks.
And he was very sensible. He didn't say a lot, but he would just go...
Ground things if they needed to. Come back a little bit.
He'd go, it's an interesting idea that they're all astronauts, but I reckon just we'll pull that back. And, he would just do
Maybe
things...
one of them just likes space.
Yeah, he would just... But never in a mean way.
No.
But also wasn't that... guy in his 50s, if he was in his 50s, or maybe he was in his 40s, but wasn't that guy who did that thing lots of men had done and feels like was done to your water rats, where you just poured water on young people's ideas. He never did that to us, did he? He sort of watered us.
Yeah.
Fed you and nurtured. And
he totally did.
And did you say that's the notes you brought with you?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love the fact you've still got those.
Honestly, I've got boxes and boxes
Are you a
of
hoarder?
notebooks.
Do we need to turn this into a therapy session?
Yes, I am a big hoarder.
We could sell that. Should we auction that for charity?
Let's
do that.
It's got all my notes. You'll be fascinated to read. I've got some very
Is there anything mean about me?
No, just like a
Script notes. It's not a personal diary.
I just actually would have been, he's annoying me.
Is it right in my memory that you split it in the pilot, that Chris wrote the male characters and you wrote the female characters, such, or that's just urban myth?
That's not true. In Amanda's flat in Coogee, we went through scene by scene, and Amanda was the scribe, but she was part of the conversation. She wasn't our scribe, but she was saying, okay, first scene, where would you like to open? Now, guys, we moved you now. Probably a bit more for me than Chris, to be honest. Yeah. And so we had a very, I thought, good scene breakdown.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of scenes, like 90 scenes. So we had a very good scene breakdown. And then Chris and I went through and chose scenes we wanted to write.
Right, okay. So you split the scenes, sorry, not the
scenes,
not
the characters.
That's true, because how would you write?
How would you write?
What did you? Yeah.
We weren't in the same room, so
Dumb question.
when we wrote,
sorry.
We would just choose things that we liked, and then I'd do a pass, then he'd do a pass, then I'd do a pass, then he'd do a pass, and then get notes. It went back and forth like that, and then we wrote over
everyone's
each
DNA
other's.
all over it. Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And we had, we sort of wrote the scene breakdown because the pilot was a telemovie together in a weird way, which was the probably closest thing to a US writer's room that I experienced in a way. We didn't do any of the writing, but we did the storytelling. So we all knew exactly what was going to come back when Judi and Chris did deliver the script. It was very clear.
It wasn't a shock or anything.
You didn't know what words they said, but you knew what was happening within every single scene,
sort of
what
knew,
their arcs were.
I think we were good at emotional chronology. That's what I'm always interested in, and emotional structure. We'd always say, where do we want to go emotionally? Storytelling sometimes is when it's plot driven or it's a genre, you have to go for a plot reason or another reason or to fill in a part of the story. We would always go, okay, where would they want to be emotionally, or where do we want to be emotionally with those characters?
Yeah.
Can I also say we were living it a bit too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was our lives, and it was your lives a bit too, but better.
I know, we're very aware that you stole from all of us.
Yeah,
that comes up in every conversation I have with anybody.
We did.
Like, do you remember how Judi put in this?
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned this to Amanda. That ended up in the script, and I was like, oh,
we did.
Gosh.
But we had to say this
that.
to our friends. And we had to say, just be careful because I will take it.
I'm a sponge, and I will take it.
And I'll use it in a show.
Yeah, and recently, weirdly, my sister, who's a GP, and I don't remember this at all, she said, remember the worst doctor on the show was named after me? And I went, who was that? She said, a doctor called Jennifer, because my sister's name's Jennifer. Why would you name the worst doctor up in the show after me? Do you remember that one? Did that
No.
She went out with Vince Colosimo.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah, and I thought, it wasn't even named after you. But then if I say that insulted her more.
How dare you not name a character after the show? I mean nothing to you.
Judy, you have no imagination with names. We know that.
It's not your strength. It's not your strength.
It's not my strength.
It's all about structure. We know you love it. What was the biggest hurdle in getting this green lit? Was there any, or did it have a kind of natural flow?
It didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably the best decision that was made, and this is John, to go from an hour pilot to a telemovie. Mm-hmm. So if they didn't pick up the pilot, at least we would have a telemovie that they could screen like on Sunday night or, that was the days of that kind of television watching. And the pilot was made for a tiny amount of money. It was really very small. We had, I think, 14 days and we had to have another 15 days to pick up some stuff. But it was
hard and fast.
It was maybe, I'm going to say 1.2 million, maybe. Which seems incredible these days. For that ensemble, we built sets and everything. But I think once people saw the pilot, it was hard to deny what it was offering and the ensemble, the chemistry between you all, how we'd sort of covered off all of our lives in a way. I felt like people who watched the pilot saw themselves in one or a number of the characters or their relationships. So I don't feel... It took a long time to get a green light. I do remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think we shot in November or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And then they didn't commission until June, and we didn't start shooting again until
November.
The following year from the pilot.
So that was probably the biggest... When I think about that now, that feels like nothing compared to how long you have to wait for things now. But it didn't feel hard.
Yeah.
Because
it had an energy and a flow, and it felt like it was...
and it was different. And I think at the time, Channel 10 had commissioned another cop show, And that show, I think it was a hybrid show. It was sort of a relationship apartment cop show. It didn't really fly. And our show just stood out. Yeah. And I can't remember who it was at Channel 10, but he came to a screening we had a little screening room. I don't know who was there. John somebody or other. It's terrible that I can't remember his name. He came in, which was unusual for him to come into these screenings. And he was so taken by Deb Malman. And I thought, oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And, yeah, then it sort of happened.
So I'm going to say famously, but not famously, because not a lot of people know this. The show was originally set in Bondi.
It was.
And moved to St Kilda.
Bondi, above a fish and chip shop.
Yes.
Above a fish and chip shop. I feel like that series kind of got made some years later with...
Wonderland.
Wonderland.
What is it called?
Wonderland, yeah. So what was the impetus there to switch that? That was Network?
Yeah, that was Rick Mayer. So the show had a number of different titles too. It had these 2-word titles.
Yeah, 9 lives, but it looked like 9 lives, and it looked like Channel 9. Like
Yeah.
Had that. And then the title... Did you come up with
Fast
the title?
Times. Yeah, I came up with the title.
Yeah, Amanda came up with the title.
But also... Rick Mayer said, we need a show set in Melbourne, and he said, we don't, like Melbourne people watch Melbourne shows. It was the old days of ratings and how things were divided state by state, which is curious now. And so I don't know if he mentioned St Kilda or we just thought about it, but we flew to Melbourne, went to St Kilda, looked at Ackland Street and the very apartment block that we actually used as the exterior, went, oh, this is it. And it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very much driven by Channel 10. And it's hard to imagine the show would have been the same show in Bondi. And we both lived in Bondi.
Yeah, we both lived in Bondi.
Yeah.
And we knew Bondi really well. And we didn't know Melbourne. I didn't anyway.
No,
that
neither
well.
did I.
But I'd been to St Kilda. You'd been to St Kilda. That's why we ended up there, I think.
And
because
you
it was only
both live
place
here
we
now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both live in
You
St
just
Kilda.
fly down for today that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, we both live in St Kilda. Yeah. Funny.
Right, so I cannot... You're right, the show would not be the same.
It wouldn't.
It doesn't mean better or worse, but I feel like the DNA of St Kilda is so in the show.
It is. And it's not the same St Kilda anymore.
No.
Which is so...
Now you're sounding old. Shut up.
I am.
I think too, Bondi is so much around swimming and surfing culture too, which we could write about easily. You can write about anything.
Yeah.
But maybe a bit less interesting culturally, and then you've got people in their togs,
I almost feel like what was shown in Secret Life in St Kilda was unexpected out of Melbourne. And as much as I can't remember if we'd had a TV show at Bondi at that point or not, but I feel like we've seen a lot of Bondi, in various ways, and commercials and postcards, and it's an icon there, and maybe it was just a freshness that St Kilda added. I do remember watching the pilot for the first time and seeing the motor race song kick in, or hearing that, and then seeing St Kilda, and I go, it looks like LA with all those palm trees. I was like, this is amazing, this place,
Yeah.
Do you think you could make this show again today?
set now.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't because...
Do you think the show could be rather than... Yeah. Do you think...
because I'm too old.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think you could make a show about people...
We have gone back to doing a lot of cop dramas.
I think the problem that we would have is 1, mobile phones.
Yeah.
And 2, online dating. I think they're the 2 things that if our North Star was truth and authenticity and what people really do, I think we'd struggle.
It wouldn't be the same. But,
no.
Broadly
I mean, the close
speaking,
proximity.
20-somethings.
Yeah, totally. I would be really interested in what that show looks like now. I like the idea of what was really attractive about the show was the living in close proximity.
They'd all be living at home still, wouldn't they?
Yes,
How would that
exactly. They would.
Judgy, sorry, everybody, sorry.
And also, how do you create the community that we created in that show by people living physically close to each other? But also the bar.
The foo bar.
The foo bar. And I don't know if that exists in the same way for 20-somethings. I would love to know, and I'd love for people to tell me, because it would be... I do, and Judy's probably heard it too, and you have, like, people say, well, why aren't they remaking that show? I don't want to remake that show, but I'm interested in what the next chapter of that is, and I'm interested in what is Gen Z... How do they navigate the world? How do they meet people?
Yeah.
How do they make the mistakes that all of our characters make?
And I guess are they already seeing a lot of themselves reflected in a lot of the web series, online content, other places?
TikTok.
Whereas that for us, we weren't seeing it.
No. But I think people had to talk more, and I don't know where 20-somethings socialise in the same way. And we had the whole soccer thing too. So that was,
we'd all get together.
That was the big part of what people did together. It wasn't just drinking. It was soccer. It was they're full of, and in each other's apartments all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because you weren't familiar with St Kilda, did that make it harder in any way to write, or do you just kind of write the interactions and then as you got to know St Kilda over the period?
I don't remember. No, I think in a way it was easier because it was all fresh and new, and Bondi we knew really well. We just went to the same places.
Yeah.
It just seemed new and sparkly to us.
Yeah, right.
And more sparkly than it was because it was pretty bad, wasn't it then?
Yeah, parts of it. But it was full. Like, it was very full of people, and that
it was
Ackland
bohemian,
Street.
It
was, and
very
Ackland Street,
bohemian.
once they closed that off, they lost the life of that.
And Sports Girl moved in and the big brands and all that. It's a lot of people talk about that.
I mean, I think the only place that still exists is Chicholina, really.
Vineyard's still there.
I know it is actually.
That's still there.
And
That's
the
still there.
Tolano, which is still there, but we used to stay at the Tolano whenever we were down.
Yeah.
So you did feel like you were living it.
Yeah, and that was a very cool kind of hotel as well.
Cool,
and still is, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I haven't been there for a while. But the one thing, not the one thing, but certainly one of the things that I have carried with me the whole time, which was a great litmus test for my entire life, was the trifecta that Kelly talks about at the end. I think it's the pilot, which says, my work life, my love life, my home life.
Yeah.
Things are looking up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And generationally, I think that probably still remains.
Yeah.
For, across all generations. It's a great little check-in.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Don't know, but we would talk about it in our own lives.
all the time.
go,
Because Judy used to say, you can't have all three. And if you do, you'll
die.
lose one.
No,
you'll lose one,
You've got
and
a
you'll be back to
5
two.
minute and then it's out.
And Amanda, we were single then, and Amanda was, we both were, but she wanted the trifecta, and I knew you couldn't get it, right? You can only get 2. And she just, we'd have these, what a ridiculous argument, but we'd argue about the possibility of having it
Philosophical debate.
It wasn't that philosophical, wasn't that brainy. But I'd just say, the reason you don't have a boyfriend right now is because you've got a good job and a good house.
Yeah, she would say that to me.
Get out of the house or quit your job if you want a
something
boyfriend.
has to go. What do you want to lose? Because as soon as you get the boyfriend, they're going to put the rent up and you're going to be homeless. And if that's what you want, that's your choice.
So do you still believe you can't get all 3?
Yes.
You still believe you can?
True. That's not true.
I do believe you can't get all 3.
No,
Well,
that's
do you
not
have all
true.
3? Don't tell me you do, because that's so smug if you do.
It's not true.
Do you have all 3?
I'm not going to answer that.
Go to the show notes, everybody. I'll put some info there.
Yeah, I do not.
I think it's, I don't know, there was something about the optimism and...
It's an aspirational goal.
Yes.
And I mean, and coming out of Kelly as well, who was
I think
such
that for us it was a real... I remember when you wrote that and I thought, that's such a good marker for what we want the show to be, but also for Kelly, who I think was a great moral centre for the show. And I think you've always got to find those characters in an ensemble. So, and she was a very optimistic...
a ray of sunshine.
Yes.
Such a beautiful energy
Yes.
that's there.
But kept getting into these terrible
I know.
situations,
It's
like honestly.
Yeah, how do I get out of here? Were there any storylines that you kind of thought, this is going to get a phone call from upstairs?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
No, you.
Yeah.
Probably when Alex's character had a termination. Yeah, that was the biggest storyline. And we were both pretty committed to it not being one of those stories that we'd seen where someone's pregnant, they're going to have a termination, then suddenly they have a miscarriage, and then
so you don't have to actually have the. You just
don't
avoid
have to
the issue.
have the abortion. So, but I think we were mid second season by that stage. So the show had already far exceeded people's expectations. And I think people believe that we had the right to actually talk about the issues that face women, particularly a lot of women that we knew. And I think Judi wrote a beautiful script, and Claudia was, as she always was, brought so much integrity to everything and every moment. And I think we worked really hard. I remember there was lots of discussions with Claude at the time, and I felt like we were finessing it right up to the point where we were shooting it. Everyone was very conscious.
There were also some actuals, were there?
There were.
Some, real people who worked in those jobs. Like the nurse was a real nurse, I think, who worked in a clinic, a family planning clinic. And so the words, they were my words, but we must have talked to her about it. And so it just sounded the sort of pedestrian way things sound in that situation. It's not all, darling, I love you, but this is it was all just
overplayed
like, how are you feeling? Okay, you're just going to go to sleep now. When you wake, it was just that sort of dry way that it actually happens, and I think having that, it sort of presented it with a clarity that I had definitely never seen.
Yeah,
and also I think we wanted to dignify women's choices and to honour people who'd made a difficult decision or not, however they felt about it. I think one of the great things about Judi is that she was always a really very thoroughly researched writer. So, and I think, but up to the point where we shot it, I thought, someone's going to tell us, no, you can't do it.
And did they ever say anything?
No, they didn't.
Not to me, but...
No, actually, they really didn't.
Yeah.
They really, really didn't, because in some ways it was very precise. So there was no judgment.
Yes.
And I think that's the greatest thing is if you take the judgment out of the writing, then the audience
it wasn't
can decide.
Making a political statement.
It wasn't. It really wasn't.
That this happens to people.
There were other things we got in trouble with when we tried to be political.
Any that come to mind?
I don't know. We had a whole segment where we wanted to have the war in Afghanistan on the television. Do you remember we wanted to make some statements about that? And they went, just no. And the other thing we got into trouble with was that we made an unkind remark about Jeanette Howard. And they said, you can say whatever you like about John Howard. He's a public figure, but actually she is not. She's not chosen to be in this life. And I thought, actually, that's a fair and decent comment. And because I think there were times when we would get very high-handed, and it was good to be brought back and to be reminded that actually if you say something about someone who hasn't chosen to be in the public eye, that it will have a damaging effect on them, and it does ruin their reputation. Yeah. So
nothing that we do is innocent of purpose. It all has an effect.
Not at all. And it was a cheap gag, to be honest.
Yeah. I didn't write it.
Yeah.
I did not write it.
Guest writer. Was it that hack Tony McNamara? Was him?
I don't know who wrote it, but it wasn't me though.
I can't remember, but I do. Yeah, it always surprises, or it did surprise me, in a show where we were allowed to do basically whatever we wanted for 3 years, that there were little things that tripped us up.
Yeah. They just get you every time.
Yeah.
When's the last time you watched any of it?
Recently, I've never watched it again, and not for any reason. I just haven't. Have you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
What, sitting down on Friday night?
Yeah. Cracking open a
because she doesn't have the trifecta.
No.
She has no boyfriend, so she's going back to the 22 or 66 hours that she produced.
What
Secret
happened
Life of
is I was cleaning out my bookshelf and I found the box set.
The DVDs.
Yes. And I still am a person
My
who
mum
has
has
a DVD player.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
No, a few times it's been on in hotel rooms and stuff like that. So occasionally,
Claudia asked me to. She said, "I'm sure you wrote something about Palestine," and Claudia was going to something about Palestine, and she said, "Can you find it?" And I, maybe ring John. And
She did, because I remember watching some recently, and I was struck by the fact she's referencing Palestine.
Yeah, but
I
I watched. I had a quick look, and I thought, I think I remember where I wrote something about political events, and then I did get a little bit into it, and I came out and I was sort of wandering around the house going, that was a really good show. Actually, I wrote really well on that. No one was interested. No one cared. Can
I say, when I look back at it and just think, wow, imagine if those apartments actually existed. They're ginormous. They'd be worth a fortune.
Yeah.
It's like the TARDIS. The outside and the inside were very different.
Yeah. But you know what happened once on set? You would know that. You probably told me this, but the set bathroom and all that, and there was a toilet.
So you're talking about the studio where we built the internal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone did a poo.
I do know that. I'm thinking it was a real toilet. I don't know who.
Oh my God.
And you think there's no water.
There's no water. It's a set. There's no seal. I mean, who would do that?
A guest who was desperate, maybe an extra. I don't know. But I don't know. They were beautiful sets, though. I still sort of have worked with Adele Fleur. Production designer, shout out to her there.
Yes.
A lot of that, which was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Which was great. Do you have a favourite episode or story arc that you're kind of most proud of or most enjoyed writing?
I liked your character kissing Simon, and the song that played was A Little Bird, or was by Little Bird. It was the song,
that's like episode 4.
Pretty
early. Like straight away.
Early on,
when you kissed.
Because it's not the pilot, which were technically 1 and 2. And then,
I really liked that because I did think it was a surprise. I don't think people thought that you and the barman, what was his name?
David Tredinnick, Simon.
Were going to kiss. I like that. This is one I did like the abortion episode, but I also did like when I don't know whether anyone else liked, but I did like when Joel's character used to get really jealous. He had that. You probably don't remember it, but I really liked writing that about he was being unreasonable, and then he had that girlfriend, and that cute girlfriend who he killed
threw
off.
A bus at in episode 6, I think it was.
She died. What happened
Sam,
to her? Did she get hit?
She walked in front of a bus just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And everyone was like,
Yeah.
Because I think you guys planted her to feel like main cast.
She's such a sweet girl.
Maybe that was the plan for Claudia if she only did the 6 episodes. Anyway, she's staying. Who else can walk in front of a bus?
But I don't know. What were yours? What did you like?
I don't know if I could single any out, really. I think there were a lot. I felt like the show allowed us to enter a lot of different worlds. And, for example, when Deb Malman, when Kelly was dating, was his name Nathan? And we got to go to Shabbat dinner. He was Jewish, and we got to go.
Yes.
Remember? And Yael Bergman, who was.
Which was Todd.
Todd, thank you. Todd, yes.
He runs
McDonald.
He runs the companies up in Queensland now.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is what happened 25 years later. You used to know everyone's name off by heart, blah, blah, blah. And Yael Bergman was doing a bit of work with us in a story capacity, and she invited us to her, I think it was her brother's dinner on Friday night, and Deb was there and Todd was there. It was like just being allowed into spaces that I had never been in for stories. We were just interested in how our characters moved in the world and what they wanted to experience. They were quite hungry for experience, I think, our characters. So things like that I'll always really value, that you don't... I mean, just actually, honestly, making 22 eps.
22 one-hour episodes.
How it didn't kill us, I don't know.
How you didn't run out of
But we just didn't.
Yeah.
We
But
just
I loved
really
all
didn't.
the characters. We loved all the characters, didn't we?
So,
Like,
so we just kept.
We loved almost all. We didn't really have storylines we didn't like.
No, it's a really good point. We didn't.
Yeah, we liked them all.
And sometimes we'd get, like, they do things and that we'd get annoyed with and go, but we actually came up with that. So,
Yeah.
not the characters, not the actors.
It's not,
the
characters.
characters.
It's just going there really annoying, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, but you wrote it for them because you did that once. Remember? It's very annoying. See,
Yeah. True.
was it therapy for you guys? A little bit.
very bad therapy?
Very bad. Very
It only
costly
expensive.
therapy.
Expensive, and it encouraged us to behave badly.
And you've since changed your ways, Judi.
You're just older.
No one's got any time.
No one imagines you doing it anymore. And you go, oh, what's
No one's
going
got any
on?
time to go out and drink Cosmopolitans
Yeah.
Friday night.
We also went from having, I think, to, like you got, probably you, to you have no money as a writer anyway. Well, Amanda was doing better, but no money, to having, it felt like a lot of money. And so you start going, sure, I'll shout. I'll
Yeah.
shout 20 Cosmopolitans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was partly what the characters were going through and what you as actors were going through, but we were going through that as well.
Yeah. I think we all went through that together in
Yeah.
that we shot the entire first season before it went to air.
Yes. And yes.
So the first
because
time
it
we were filming in
finished
St Kilda, no one knew who you were, what was
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just go wherever you want, do
Yeah.
whatever you want,
Yeah.
all around there. And then by
Yeah.
the time it
So
came
we went
around,
to air in April.
Yeah.
July, sorry.
and
we
then,
finished,
yes, after your favourite, Sex and the City,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
they were
yeah.
8:30, we were 9:30.
Yeah.
And then it was a different story once it sort of
Yeah, then
hit.
it was-
Do you remember the moment you kind of went, oh, this is working?
I was always adamant that we shouldn't be on. We should wait until Sex and the City had finished.
As in all its seasons no longer airing.
Yes, rather than have that crossover. But actually, I sort of do understand the logic now because I think there was 6 weeks where we were
Didn't
on.
they go on for another 7 seasons after that? So we would have been waiting a long time.
Well, no, more just that particular night because
Yeah.
because 9:30
Because it was Mondays,
was Mondays,
which was the hot, big ratings night.
It was,
It was a good TV night.
It was a
Yeah.
really good TV night, and so they did shift us to 8:30. But I remember thinking, oh yeah, I've seen Sex and the City. Like I remember thinking I've seen my own show. I want to watch Sex and the City. I want our audience to be watching our show. I think it didn't take very long, to be honest.
Ratings went up every week.
Yeah. It started. Yeah.
Yeah, it started, but it went up every week. And once we hit 1 million, I felt we were safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my God, you used to obsess about the ratings. It would drive me insane. Insane.
that's not true.
Insane. Every
That is
Tuesday
absolutely
morning.
not true.
It was like, I wouldn't even say hello. It would just be like,
So what are the ratings? What are the ratings?
oh, stream of consciousness.
That's a complete lie. This is the actual truth of that story. She would ring me and say, I don't think we're going to do very well this week. And I go, I think we are. I think we're going to go up every week. And she'd go, no, it's all going to be over soon. It's going to be over. I'm going to have to resign. I'm going to resign. I'm actually going to resign. I'm going to write my resignation. Then I'd ring her the next morning and say very calmly, how are the ratings? And she went, actually, they went up. And I'd go, what? And that is the truth.
That is not the truth.
Look
Somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between here.
is where the show gets made.
That's where the show gets made.
Yeah, it was pretty great to be working on a show where
A successful and people knew
Where
about
people
it.
Like you said, so you got
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we worked. I think it ended up being like 7 months of the year we would sort of shoot.
yes.
And,
it was
you
a
know,
long
we
time.
would-
it was 22 weeks.
Not laughing, but kind of
26
reminiscing how good it
weeks,
was.
yeah.
You go,
26.
you worked maybe 3 days a week as the actor
Yeah.
because it's kind of like, all the storylines are shared and that. A busy week, it's 4, 5, what are you doing to me? I've got things to do, And great money, 7 months, you didn't have to work the other 5
Yeah.
if you saved well enough. You could go do something else if you wanted to. And it was just fascinating to see that change as well in people when they suddenly go, oh, you're part of that show and that hit
yeah.
and all of that. And it certainly was a heady period.
It was. It was. I just remember on the second season we had this row of pigeonholes where all the cast invites.
Oh, yes.
Where with call sheets and everything in the days.
Yeah, so
where
it's
things
for
were posted.
information for those
and
listening.
I just watched pigeonholes fill up with envelopes of invitations
to the opening
things.
of an envelope, to the opening of the Logies,
yes,
or to the
yes,
opening of anything, a movie, this and that, and everyone you'd go in and sometimes you'd go in and say, oh, why have they got more than me? It's
I also have a pigeonhole. No one wanted the writer to anything. I had nothing.
Also, I think the interesting thing is all of you kind of modern day influencers in a way. Like you were seen to be cool and you're in a cool show, you're in a cool gang. People wanted you to be around.
They wanted to be a part of that gang,
It was good because I think young people do want long-running shows again. People are watching things on streamers. They're watching all those old shows that go for...
They want to stay with a group longer.
Yeah, they want to stay with people, and you just don't have... Like, if we made Secret Life in 6 hours...
How would you do it?
I don't think we could. I know people watch... People are more time poor, it seems, and
yet they're not.
Attention span is shorter, but actually...
But, Amy Poehler, I was listening to her and she's going, we say, oh, let's not put a feature on, I don't have time. And then you find out you've just watched
4 episodes.
Yeah, and you haven't even blinked.
I've binged a whole 6
Yeah.
My husband's like that.
Actually,
I don't want to watch a movie, it's too long. And literally, 3 hours later, I'm like, got to watch that
and you love it when it says next episode. And then when it doesn't say it, when it's and you're just like, no, I have to wait. I'm like that with The Diplomat now.
Oh, really?
Do you watch that?
Yeah.
I love it. Do you love it?
I do.
I love it. Someone told me they didn't like it at all. I just love it.
I'm a slow horses man at the minute.
A
bit of Gary Oldman.
I'm going to speak for us. We finished that. You finished that, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'm nearly there. Speaking of finishing, I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I am just going to hold this little number here.
Well, everybody, do you know what? Everybody...
I'm holding a silver Logie,
everybody earned that Logie. That is for the show.
45th TV Week Logie Awards. It's one of... Did the show win?
It won 3 in a row.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Most Outstanding Drama Series on Australian television, 2002. And it's a little bit tarnished. Amanda's had it as a doorstop, is it? Or
no, it's in my cupboard.
What is that worse? Deb, actually, when we're chatting with Deb... if you do watch the video podcast with her, we were laughing about and talking about all the awards and things, and Claudia's like, I don't know where mine are. And I ran through it. Deb has an extraordinary list.
She does.
And then I think Sam said, where are they? And she just pans the camera out. She's got a whole shelf with them all. And it looks amazing. It's beautiful and so well deserved. But this one, give it a little rub. But that's for you to take home with your Judies. But can I just say thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such a lovely trip down memory lane, and to find some new things there and I hope you discuss some old ones.
Get something great out of it.
We will.
I hope it's entertaining.
Me too.
Thank you, Spencer. Thank you so much.
That's it for this episode of McLaren Versus. I'm Spencer McLaren, and thank you for spending some time with us. If you enjoyed this chat, then please don't forget to follow and leave us a review.